Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mindalorian. It's the Star Wars Minute Show in which we recap every episode of The Mandalorian shortly after it airs. I'm Pete the Retailer.
I'm Alex Robinson.
And today we're talking about Chapter 12, which is Season 2, Episode 4. 2-4-12. The Siege. So we're back to episode titles that are really going to get typoed and misspelled on the internet.
Like the Siege and Rouge One.
Yeah, and Marshall. The Marshall was a little bit of a mess, and now the Siege, I bet, is going to be a mess.
How are people spelling Marshall? Martial?
I think there might have been some of that, and there was a discrepancy between one L and two.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And so now the Siege, we'll see if it's I before E except after C, or if the weird foreigner, et cetera, et cetera. So we get.
Well, should we just?
Yeah, let's dive into this. Picks up a little bit after the last one left off, and when the last one left off, the titular Mandalorian had just left. What was the name of that planet? The one with Frog Man.
Trask.
There you go. And the Mon Cals had kind of glued his ship together with string and stuff like that, and so it's in bad shape after the last couple of episodes. So they're sputtering through space, and he says, "All right, we need to. I don't think we're going to make it to what is it, Caladan or something? Some dune name." That they're gonna go try to find Ahsoka Tano, and instead it's like, all right, well, maybe we need to stop in and visit some old friends for repairs. And who are our old friends?
Well, hold on a second. I have something to say about I was a little surprised that he was using Baby Yoda to try to fix the ship.
Oh, I totally forgot about that part. Yeah,
that seemed criminally negligent, I would say.
Well, I think, it depends on the kid and how you see, I think he was pretty, I mean,
he grew up in a tough place, so that he probably had to do a dangerous job when he was a kid, too.
Yeah, and this kid, protected him from a mudhorn, so.
Yeah.
But I think he was pretty sure that it wasn't like a lethal amount of charge in those wires. It was just, it was...
Although he was willing to take this, I like the idea that he doesn't want to do his quest, so he's constantly putting Baby Yoda into dangerous things.
Right.
Oh, he got killed, so well, I guess I don't have to go to the planet. So
yeah.
But I did like seeing when Baby Yoda was like getting like shocked. I thought that was a funny.
He should have leaned into it more, like Jar Jar. He should have had a little comic routine there.
Well, it's probably good that the puppet isn't too articulated, because then they would be tempted to do crazy things like that. But
or like the crazy-eyed gremlin in Gremlins 2. I think he should have been a little bit like that. Doesn't he get shocked at some point? I think. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. It sounds like something a crazy-eyed gremlin would do.
You crazy-eyed gremlin. I totally forgot about that part, but I did have a note of this one goes here, that one goes there. So
yes,
a little bit of that.
Yeah. Also, it's the old red wire, blue wire thing, which is the cliche diffusing the bomb situation. So here it is in the. So I think, although Baby Yoda is a baby, obviously, I think he's like a baby in that he's pre-verbal, but he clearly understands things that are going on that a baby that was pre-verbal would probably, or at least not. He seems smarter. He seems more in tune with his environment than he would based on his silence. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it made me wonder if the whole wisdom of Yoda's come from the fact that they can't really talk for the first 40 years of their life. So they just have to sit there and observe and take everything in without like trying to change the world or anything. So anyway.
Or if it's like it comes from acting like a baby for longer than they need to. And then everybody assumes, oh, look, that it's just a baby, even though he's 50 years old. It's like, oh, it's just a baby, but look at how much he understands. And so they just kind of play that up. It's like a big long ruse of being like...
Sort of a babyface Finster kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of They just like having other people wipe his butt for him.
Yeah.
So they arrive at Dave Navarro's planet.
Yes, and he mentions it. He's like, it's almost like, I wonder what's happening. What's going on with our old friends on Navarro? And it's like, bring, bring, bring. Cut to Cara Dune beating up some walrus men in the old covert. The old covert. Where it's in the armorer's old room. It's in the old forge, and they're going through and kind of looting, I think. And Cara Dune comes in, and we learn that she is now the marshal. She's the law. Mm-hmm. Here
Marshal.
Yes, martial law.
Anything about the? Is this the first time we've seen Aqualishes?
Yeah, that was the magic word. I think. I mean, the first time we've seen them since the Senate, I think, right?
So this is the first time in the Disney era that Aqualishes, assuming they weren't Clone Wars or whatever.
Other than Walrus Man on.
That's right.
How can
in
I forget the
Rouge
name
One.
of it? In Rogue One,
the planet there.
Jeddah. There you go.
Jeddah.
But
the only noteworthy thing I thought about them was that they seemed to weigh in on the fingers versus flipper hands debate, because they had hands with fingers as opposed to paddles.
I think, isn't there a thing? Didn't they've retconned that into like there are like paddles that can come out around your hand or something like that? Maybe that was just an action figure.
I've seen the sort of compromise where it's a sort of flipper with a hand under it.
Yeah,
almost like a horseshoe crab kind of a construct. Yeah. But then I've also seen them say that that they were too different. Mm-hmm. Like that, you're not supposed to notice that Walrus Man has flippers when he's beating up Luke, because they say like, they tried to say the one in the holiday special was a different one.
Right. Well, because he definitely has flippers. Yeah.
Yeah. So they were trying to say that he's often mistaken for another Aqualish named Ponda Baba. So
I'm trying to remember his. It's not Ludlow. That's Greedo. That's the Rhodian in the cantina.
Yeah.
He's a good dancer, though. The one in the holiday special.
Do you think there are people who are into Aqualishes the way you're into Rhodians? Like, do you think there are people who collect all the different? There's probably a lot more variations, because there were in the prequels. I don't know if they made toys of them, but they seem to have a lot of Aqualishes in them.
Right. Well, those the four-eyed Aqualishes too. Those are There's even all kinds of different ones. So
yes.
Yeah, we get a gang of walrus men and a space ferret, which, according to Wikipedia, is officially called a lava meerkat.
Lava meerkat.
Lava meerkat. We saw one apparently in season 1 when they were going down into the lava river.
Yeah. I was trying to figure out how they did it. Do you think it's like a ferret with some CGI on it?
No, I think it definitely seems like a puppet, the
whole thing's a
animatronic ferret. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't quite move right,
easier.
but it could be. I could be wrong.
So we see the Mandalorian arrives, and he meets up with Lorna Doone and our old friend Grief Karga.
Yeah.
Grief Karga?
Karga.
Is that his name?
Karga. Feminine form of Karga.
Who now is sporting a gray beard.
He's aged quite a bit, because he's now he's an administrator.
Look at him. How much time is supposed to? They act like they haven't seen Mando in a long time, but
long time.
How long has it been, do you think?
I had that question the other day. I was trying to remember how, what there's another episode that I watched that I was like, time frame is a little bit weird. That there's enough time for something to have happened, and I forgot what it was. But I mean, we can assume it's been, I don't know, a couple of months, maybe.
A couple of months, 6 months.
Well, I don't know. What was the
3 or 4 seasons?
200 hours. Let's say 200 hours.
A long time.
Yeah, a long time. He hasn't seen them in a bit, but he welcomes them back, and it's a little bit like I did get a little bit of hesitation on everybody's part. Like, can he trust them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then they kind of welcome him in, and of course, like every episode, it's like, oh, we can help you, but we have a quest, or like any video game, etc.
Yeah.
And so then this is like, all right, what's the deal? We have to blow up an Imperial base that's here.
Yeah.
And we're gonna put Baby Yoda in C-3PO school, which is definitely delighted me.
The fact that there was a C-3PO school, or the fact that they left Baby Yoda there?
Both. And I would have probably been happy if the rest of the episode was just like Baby Yoda in C-3PO school, and then at the end everybody comes back, like a little bit charred with some smoke coming off them. Like, well, we did it. We blew up that base. Like, time to go.
Oh. Yeah, that would have been a nice. Maybe the next episode will be kind of like they'll take it from that point. You know what I mean? Where they're like,
right.
"Oh, here, we'll leave you at the school." They show him doing that stuff, and then it'll resume from that point. Because we don't see when he picks up Baby Yoda, we don't see like how that goes down. So,
right, that's true. Did he have to go through like a car line and show ID to pick up his kid from school? And
right, yeah, all the other kids make small talk with all the other parents picking up their kids
right.
at the
Standing
school.
there with his coffee, like, so how old is yours? 50.
So a couple of things about that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was odd that he just leaves him at the school. It seems weird the times where he's super protective and and she's like, well, you have my word that he'll be okay. Okay, well, as long as I have your word, what could possibly go wrong?
Right,
you know?
yeah.
I don't know. It seems, well, C-3PO's here to protect him. We know.
I'm assuming schools have some kind of protection.
Yeah. I know, they just let these three weirdos wander into the middle of the school. No one cares.
But it's like the mayor. It's like the mayor and the chief of police.
That's true, yeah. They can
and
do whatever they
their
want.
mercenary friend.
Yeah. One thing I liked was that when they were talking about the Imperial base over there, and they say something like, Grief Karga said something like, well, the Empire couldn't settle the Outer Rim. What makes them think they can do it? And I like that little glimpse. Always looking for little glimpses of the political situation.
Yeah.
And it really provides a little,
yeah, world building.
There were some parts the Empire was actually struggling to hold down.
Yeah, world building through dialogue is the way to go. We don't have to go dig into every single thing, but I like when little snippets, little soupçons.
Yes.
Although, speaking of delving into politics, I have an issue with the essentially the prison labor methods of Grief Karga here. That Blue Horatio Sands is basically it's like, all right, well, you're under arrest for this, but I will, I'll let you off easy. I'll commute your sentence if you do all my work for me. And then it's like, oh, and also drive me to this raid. Oh, and also you got to do this. And he keeps kind of threatening him with more prison time, or kind of enticing him with a reduction in his prison time. But he's still a prisoner, and he should not be treated as such. Especially for a non-violent offender.
Because he was like cooking the books, right? That was his.
Yeah,
that was his deal.
Right.
I don't know. It seems kind of soft on crime. But I thought it was weird that Grief Karga, he kept threatening him, but it was like, how about I take another 30 years off your sentence? Like, he was threatening him with good things. I mean, he was enticing him. He was saying it with the thing of a threat,
right?
But that was the intonation of a threat. But the thing he was offering was a good thing.
Right. Well, it was like like threatening him with not giving him a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Right. So it was like, like, oh, how about I make you a cookie? You know what I mean? And it's like,
right. Oh. But usually it's like the way he was saying it would have been like, how about I add another 10 years to your sentence, as opposed to
right.
Like, you want me to take away 50 years? I'll make it 75. I'll take away 100 years if you keep pushing me. So anyway.
He did a little bit. He did threaten a couple of times to add it and then a couple of times to reduce it. So I don't know.
Right.
Again, I'm not I don't I have problems with that. I have issues with that. I would send in some space lawyers or something to really kind of...
While you're doing that, maybe you could point out that your client has been blinded in his left eye since being entombed in carbonite. So
it's true. Yeah. So there's multiple. We need a space ambulance chaser.
We do. There must be have we seen a space lawyer yet?
I don't think so.
Just Palpatine, I guess.
Right, yeah, and we've seen bureaucrats enter the bureaucrats.
Mithral is the name of Plu Horatio Sands.
Yeah, that's his race. We don't know. He still doesn't have a name. See, that's not even...
Oh, so when they call him Mithral, they're just calling him by his race?
Right, exactly. So, again, my client, Your Honor, you would see that my client is not only being subjected to prison labor, but it's a hostile working environment where he's being psychological abuse.
So would you want Greef Karga imprisoned or just lose his job or financial, punitive damages? What are you looking for here, counselor?
Let's see. I think a combination of, total commutation of sentence and some monetary damages.
Well, you're not going to get it from Greef Karga. The guy doesn't have 2 dimes to run together. Run together. Hey, did you notice this episode was directed by Carl Weathers, too?
I did. This is the rare occasion where I saw a few things before I watched the episode. Because I woke up this morning and not realizing it was Friday. I just looked at my phone a little bit.
Yeah.
And I saw that he was excited about it. People were excited for him about it. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I also saw people discussing macarons, the cookies. Mm-hmm. And I also saw somebody posting kind of a brightly colored vomit emoji. And I was like, these things might all be related. So that slowly it started to unfold. And I was like, aha, that's why people were talking about that.
Well, let's talk about that while we're here. The cookies. Baby Yoda covets another student's cookies and steals them and starts to eat them. And we don't see what happens, like if the kid tries to take them back and Baby Yoda choked him to death, or how that little situation was. The kid just like, I'm not messing with that thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, could you do because he does have the whole packet once he gets back on the ship. But is that could you do the Jedi mind trick without talking? Is that possible? Could Yoda do Jedi mind trick somebody without speaking?
Or we never see Yoda do it, do we? In the movies,
I don't believe so.
In
no,
Clone Wars or something, he must.
In Clone Wars, he must. No, I don't. I don't think so.
I believe that Yoda could do it
without speaking.
Without speaking.
Okay. So could Baby Yoda do it? Is he convincing him like, these aren't your cookies?
No, because then I think they would have shown the kid. I think they would have shown. He would have said to the kid, "Hand me your cookies."
But he can't speak. That's what I'm saying.
Well, but he would have telepathically made the kid hand his cookies over to Baby Yoda.
Oh, right.
Like he wouldn't have.
That's what I thought was going to happen.
Force
but then
moved them over.
Force grabbed them.
Yeah, and the kid just looked at him. He didn't.
Well, that's what
take it back or cry or anything.
Maybe he's using the Force to make him be like, oh, you know what? I didn't need those cookies.
That must be evil, though, right?
Stealing cookies?
Well,
stealing candy from a child, essentially?
Altering someone else. But he's a younger baby, so it wouldn't be.
He's a lot older. He's older than anybody here.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. He's like the Billy Madison of Baby Yodas.
Right, yeah.
So this Imperial base. I know they like showing the whole holographic planet thing,
right?
But she's like, we're here, and over here on the complete other side of the planet is an Imperial base, and yet they come and go from that Imperial base like it's like a half a mile away,
right?
Mando Fett flies his jetpack all the way back from all the way halfway across the planet. So
probably a small planet.
I guess so. It's a story about a small planet. But I don't know. That seems to me if you're gonna have a small planet, there's a lot more interesting stories you can do than just some Imperials hiding out.
Right.
Take advantage of that fact and have like people running from one side of the Earth to the other and turning night and dark.
So when they get to the base, they have to do a lot of deactivation of stuff. There's a lot of little like oh, that's cool, like a lot of little things like that. As they get to an Imperial base, there's a lot of there's Imperial officers. We see the troop transport again. We see a couple of other things as they go in.
It's not quite the same troop transport.
No, a troop transport.
Yeah.
and
Interestingly, in the conceptual art they show at the end, it is the real troop transport, but it looks like they changed it for the actual.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I don't know. You think they would have had the model or whatever that was ready to go. Anyway. I didn't mind it. It was kind of like seeing the AT-ATs with the crane. You're seeing the same basic framework with a little bit of specialization.
But they have to go deactivate the coolant thing, and so of course there's a little control thing on the tower with Blue Horatio even says like, hey, there's no guardrails on this.
The other Blue Horatio moment I liked also was where Mando Fett shot up in his jetpack and he just looked up at him and he just shrugged like, what the hell?
Right, yeah.
That was really weird kind of moment. I wish the Imperials were shabbier. Like, it seems like by this point they should be more like because they're all splintered and broken up. So it seems like the uniforms should be less
that's why
cool.
They need to lean heavier into the uniforms being crisp and clear because they're when morale and everything else is lower, you need the uniforms to stand out. They need to keep everything clean and tight. And
I can see that.
Right.
I just think visually, like, it just turned into another Stormtrooper battle for me. Whereas if they were kind of shop-worn, at least I would be like, oh, look at how they're different, or they're kids now, or there's something different about them than the regular Imperial era. But but not a big deal.
So they
no guardrail.
Yeah,
and luckily the accountant knows how to operate a reactor core because, of course,
sure.
Why wouldn't he?
I think he's a computer guy, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just like Obi-Wan. But yeah,
with Obi-Wan it was more believable, I guess, because you'd think he had different adventures before it might have picked this up. But
maybe Blue Horatio had a series of adventures.
Yeah.
So they shut it down, and while they're on their way out, they kind of run through some Snoke tanks, essentially, what looks like to me. They get out into like a lab, where they discover that they are trying to essentially all stuff that we've kind of theorized about. They're trying to do midichlorian infusions into what it looks like clones. They're trying to clone bodies and infuse them with midichlorians.
Right.
So I'm assuming that this is where Snoke comes from. This project eventually leads to Snoke. And eventually leads to somehow Palpatine has returned.
I'm not sure. Did at the end of the episode they show Moff Gideon kind of standing there, and he has like walls of what look like some kind of like super soldier-y kind of guys.
Right.
That's what I thought that they were. Like trying to make a force of. I mean, I guess ultimately, like I didn't think it was Snoke in the tank, although I wondered that at first. But so yeah, you're saying that the roots of the project can come from this.
Yeah, I think it's both. I think they're
right
in the short term creating a force, but in the long term, it's also going to lead to the
Snoke force,
Snoke and the return of Palpatine.
Yes,
somehow. Yeah.
How do you feel about a army of force-infused super stormtroopers?
Do not want. That I really hope they don't do that. Again, we're already a little too forcey for my taste, and that's just the little tiny bits of Baby Yoda doing it. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I don't want it to be a thing with I don't know. It seems like something that a fan would come up with, and it would be a thing that you would see, and it is, that's what this is. We've talked about how it's cool that this is basically, Jon Favreau playing with his action figures, but I don't know. I don't want those story wrinkles like that to pop up. I want this to be more, because that again, not that it, nothing is real, not that, so it doesn't change anything, but it really it does alter the fabric of Star Wars a little bit. I feel like if you have, midichlorian infused Force troopers.
Well, it might be the kind of thing they have them, but they don't live very. It might be just a short term thing, but
no.
I do like they call it M count. That I thought made it sound a bit cooler.
Yeah, well, I think they were a little leery of just flat out saying midichlorians.
Yeah.
So it's like, we'll put this in there, and if you know, but otherwise,
it won't distract the normies.
Right.
So I liked when one stormtrooper said they seem to kind of a lot of times just echo a little bit of stormtrooper dialogue from Star Wars.
Yeah,
they're like blast them or
I think they did use a couple of bits, like when they first come out of the elevator. I think did you say stop right there and blast them or something like that? Where it's like, oh, that's stormtrooper dialogue.
Yeah. Well, anyway, when he says they're on the move,
right.
I thought that had to be a shout out to us because you brought back the on the move as a thing. So.
Right. That's the wise ass stormtrooper should have been like Mannequin 2.
Anakin who?
Oh man, that's the setup that we need to somehow that we need to write a story based in maybe Clone Wars era. And
Mannequin 2.
And it's like, we're look, we think we've got Obi-Wan cornered. Anakin 2, they're on the move, like something like that. And then they run, and then they're followed by these clone troopers. So we've got to get a clone saying Anakin 2.
Oh my gosh, that would be awesome. That would be easier to work in than Electric Boogaloo.
Yes, of course. Well, depending on how things go politically.
Right. The Mandalorian does the sort of doesn't quite pull off the Iron Man 3-point landing when he does the jetpack. Whenever Iron Man lands, whenever any superhero lands, I guess these days they do the landing on your knees with one fist on the ground, and he did a shot of that. So when he flew up,
he flew up. Baby Yoda threw up.
There's another stormtrooper. Seems like a really dumb stormtrooper thing to say. All right, man, load your weapons.
Right. Oh, I think that's the other thing. That he said that's I think a direct thing from Star Wars.
Does he? They say load your weapons in Star Wars?
In Star Wars, I think they say load your weapons in one of them.
Maybe when they're about to run into Docking Bay 94.
Could be 94
when they're walking by all those street vendors and stuff.
Let me do a quick background check here.
But anyway, it seems like if you haven't loaded your weapon by now, it's kind of 101.
Yes, you have to be like, oh, load. Oh, we were supposed. Yes, it's right when they're walking into Docking Bay 94. It says, all right, man, load your weapons. That's exactly it.
Yeah, I didn't notice it then, but this time it seems especially
right.
Yeah,
stop that shit. But blast them.
Yeah.
But that does seem. Yeah, you think one of the stormtroopers is going to be like, "Oh, wait, were we supposed to bring our own ammunition? I thought you were going to hand it out to the group."
Takes out the big musket thing,
right,
and like stuffing in all the buckshot.
Right.
So then they flee. They're fleeing the exploding base, and they're being pursued by various Imperial peoples.
Yes, and a good. I feel like the speeder bike scene is already cool, and they just did another cool. I feel like they made speeder bikes a little bit cooler somehow, and biker scouts. It was a good.
Well, when they do that thing when they go zooming off the cliff, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah,
And then it was, which we saw Darth Maul do, admittedly, back in episode 1.
Oh, that's true.
And,
so he was riding like his little donut machine, right?
I don't know how they survived. They drove off off that thing in their troop transport,
right.
And it lands on the ground, and they're just like, oh! They land on Blue Ratio Sands' land speeder. His sand speeder.
Sand speeder. Ratio sand speeder. I think it's got, it obviously it's a ground effect vehicle, so it has a lot of, it's like dropping a magnet onto another magnet. Yeah. And so it's not, a full impact. Plus, I'm sure it's got some kind of inertial dampeners or whatever.
Yeah. All right. I'll allow it.
Yeah, that thing was the, I had that same thought, and I was like, I'm not going to let that derail this. If it was...
Oh yeah, no.
If it was super, if it was a plot point, more of a plot point, I might be like, But it was just like, all right, throw it in there. That it's like an action sequence thing.
We've just spent 20 weeks watching James Bond drive cars in all sorts of crazy situations that cars would never survive it. So we'll let it slide with a spaceship. I did like when she crushed the guy where the guy was next to her. It seems kind of like a really dumb move on the speeder bike guy's part. I don't know. I'll get between myself and between that ship and the wall.
Right. Let me drive up between this rock and this hard place. That'll help.
Yeah. A little bit of ring theory. I felt a kind of a Jakku vibe on there when Lorna Doone was driving the ship and what's his name was back in the guns.
Yeah,
it was like when Finn and Rey were back there. So
and they're shouting at each other.
Yeah, they're squabbling, and the gun doesn't quite work, and things like that. So I guess now we're getting evocations of the sequel movies too. I wonder if we'll start seeing that more references, and echo base.
Well, here's something that we do that is somewhat reminiscent of the new era of stuff, more so than the old era of stuff, is more variety in our officers. We've got a lady Imperial officer, an unidentified communications comms officer, played by one Katie O'Brien. But I was just like, hey, who's she? Like, that's cool. Like, that's Imperial. We're moving forward, I guess, from old school Imperial rule into kind of a more up to date. But I'm always glad to see Imperial officers, and in particular, I was like, I thought she was cool, so I hope she comes back. Turns out she's a TV actor who's been in some stuff.
I was just going to ask you, because to me it seemed almost like she was like somebody who, if you watched like a show on the Disney Channel, you'd be like, oh, look, it's the bad girl from the Disney Channel show.
Yeah, no, I think she was in like some zombie show or fantasy show or something like that. She was like a recurring. She was never like the star of. I could be wrong, but she's been on some TV.
Okay. So is that when she shows up?
No, she shows up kind of later, almost at the very end. But I was dovetailing off you're talking about the referencing modern stuff, and that's more of a first order thing than an Imperial thing. But we're progressing towards the first order.
It's the transition, and as we learned, they're basically the same thing. So,
we're getting there.
Same boss. I love the TIE fighter explosions, some cool debris, and the close up of the guy going when this ship gets blown up. I don't think we've ever seen that. The reaction of a TIE fighter pilot getting killed.
Rebel pilots, we get that all all the time, but screaming Imperials.
Yeah,
that was
the screaming Imperials.
Yeah, that was my punk band for a little bit.
That was more like surf rock. So this is when Baby Yoda does the puke joke.
Yeah,
according to my notes. I guess motion sick. Is it from eating too much or motion sickness?
A combination of the two. Okay. It's like he just wolfed down a whole thing of cotton candy and then went on a roller coaster. And so, and it's a good in my view, it was a welcome. I was getting a little bit not sick of the, but I was like,
I get it.
But the it's a good thing to throw in there with the we're doing all this action stuff, which was fairly was exciting but fairly standard, and then just to throw that in there as a little lighthearted bit worked for me. You know, I don't know.
To me, I wrote down which is better, Baby Yoda puke joke or Jar Jar Binks fart joke?
Oh, definitely Baby Yoda puke joke, because it's in. They don't, especially that's the way that it's done. You know, it's just a brief kind of like.
He didn't do it on someone's face.
Right, and they didn't do like, you know, nobody was like, oh no, like, you know, no dogs put their paws over their eyes.
That's true.
So I think you know, it's just done within the context, and it's a little more subtle. Even though it's bright, like fluorescent blue, it's more subtle. So,
and also, is this the same? Did he have one packet of cookies the whole time?
Yeah, I think so.
If so, I admire his willpower for having the cookies for what had to be at least a full day and not eating them.
Yeah,
especially since we saw how he scarfed down those eggs, though.
That's
Maybe
true.
He learned his lesson. Yeah. He was throwing up eggs all night. I like the Mandalorians. I've got some onboard maintenance to take care of, which to me sounds like a great euphemism for going to the bathroom.
Right, yeah.
I have some onboard maintenance I got to take care of, if you know what I mean.
The refresher. We get the return of Captain Carson Teva.
Yeah.
Captain
checking
Carson
in
Teva.
with Lorna Doone and basically kind of offering her a job.
Right. He is we discussed him briefly, I think last time or 2 weeks ago or whatever, but researched him a little bit more, and he's a TV guy. At first, I thought maybe he was just a behind the scenes kind of Lucasfilm guy, like a Dave Filoni. But he is. You know the show Kim's Convenience?
Mm-hmm.
He's from that. He's the guy from that, and he was like a notable Star Wars fan. Like, who had also done some, online. He was posting a lot of stuff of his Ghostbusters and Star Wars kind of cosplay projects. Like, he was making his own stuff, and then. He's friends with, is it Deborah Chow, who did 1 or 2 episodes in season 1? He's friends with her, and when he found out that she was doing episodes, he was like, oh, put in a good word for me. And Filoni was just like, oh, I love Kim's Convenience. Yeah, tell him to call me. And
man.
So then he was like, he was like, can I do this? I'll bring my own suit. And they're like, well, we got suits. But once they showed up and they were costuming him, he was like, no, the harness has to go this way in order for it to work. Like, the people who were doing the official costumes were like, he helped them with the kind of with the straps and stuff. And then apparently he even got to, they were doing some test shoots or whatever, and he got to hold. They're like, oh, your helmet, we're still painting your helmet, it's not ready yet, just hold this one. And they gave him the original Biggs helmet, and he was like, oh, like, I think to them, to the crew or whatever, it was just kind of like, oh yeah, get something out of the archives. And to him, to a fan and a cosplayer, to just be like, this.
They were using it as like a planter or something.
Yeah, right.
Like, here you go. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm kind of into Captain Teva kind of being this good cop kind of rebel pilot rather.
I like that role, but it doesn't seem something that an X-wing pilot should be doing, personally. Like, well, it's like X-wings are like fighter jets. Like, what if he had to arrest somebody? What would he do? Throw him in the put him in the little R2 hatch in the back and. Like, it doesn't seem like a practical law enforcement vehicle. It's
Well, I think it's dual purpose.
At least a Y-wing.
Well, yeah. That don't. I'm not going to disagree with that, but I think it's dual purpose because they're out in the Outer Rim. It's more like a combination, like a Wild West sheriff or something. Where or that's not he's a little bit more autonomous. So he's like part army and part police, essentially, kind of patrolling around. And I think if he did need to arrest a large, some people. He would probably call
one person,
somebody else. One person. He would call in a transport or something like that, or figure out something.
Yeah.
But
anyway, it seems like the X-wings, you'd have better ships that are better suited to that line of work.
Right. But I think because I think it's dual purpose, I think it works because it's
or have like Filoni in the X-wing and then him in a more different ship.
In like
your Y-wings, your V-wings. Maybe let's see some V-wings again. We haven't seen them. Anyway. And also, so they have an interesting interaction. I thought it was interesting when he asks Lorna Doone about her coming from Alderaan.
Right.
And he says, I served during Alderaan.
Right.
And I thought the phrasing of that was noteworthy because it doesn't sound like something... I can't think of a... like, to me, Alderaan, it wasn't a during event.
Right.
It's like 9/11. You don't say I was in New York. You don't say I served during. I guess you could say, I was serving during 9/11.
Yeah.
That sounds weird though to me. Anyway, not a big deal, but I just thought it was I wondered if there was some other reason why it was phrased that way. Like, did it have more to it than just the planet blowing up? Right.
Maybe. Well, I didn't like her. Like when he said, like, "Oh yeah, I served her," like, did you lose anybody? I'm like, please don't say I lost everybody. Like, it's so like cliche, like loner drifter. And she's like, I lost everybody, and I was like, okay.
Well, why? What? It's a dumb question to ask. I think.
Well, no, I mean,
it's insensitive, at least.
I guess so. Although it's what are we? We're maybe 15 years after that or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or no, not quite, right? It's 3, and then 4, and then 9 years, something like that.
Yeah, let's say that.
9 or 10 years. So I don't know.
Like if I met someone who emigrated from Iraq to America, and I met them, I wouldn't say, "Oh, did any of your relatives get killed in Iraq?" I would just feel like,
right.
"Oh, it's probably not like my business or anything."
Right, but it's a whole different ballgame thing. If somebody was, it's more like if going back to your 9/11, if it's like if somebody was born on the World Trade Center.
I do think instead of saying I lost everyone, she should have said like, "Oh yeah, I lost my mom, and my dad, and my brother, and my older sister, and my younger sister," and then just keep going on with names and names until he got the idea that, oh yeah, I lost everyone.
Right.
But oh yeah, then the guy who worked at the deli, and then there was the doorman in that building, and then like
that one really comfortable pair of pants that I had, and
I got my collection of Hummel figurines.
Rope it back. Let's change the verbiage. If somebody was talking about Hiroshima, let's say.
Yeah.
So if somebody was like, "Oh, you're from Hiroshima," like, is that like you would? I think it would be kind of. It wouldn't be like, "Oh, did." Maybe not phrase it the same way, but it was like, "Oh, you would be like from before or like afterwards." It would be like it'd obviously be a topic of conversation because that's mostly what people know about it. You know what I mean?
I guess, but if someone was directly involved in it, I don't really see it as my like. If I met someone that like, oh, this person was, I don't know. It doesn't seem his place to ask, but
right.
I know they're trying to, for the sake of the show, they're trying to establish, well, you're from Alderaan, and like get exposition out of the way and stuff like that.
Right.
What was that thing he left with her?
I couldn't tell.
Is it a badge? Is it like his business card or
it seemed like a medal? Like he was like, I served during Alderaan, and I ran in the Alderaan 10K. Here's my...
from the Disney World.
Yeah, exactly.
This one's very, very collectible.
Well, I get that from a jaded point of view. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's just like, here, like we're gonna sell these soon, so I wanted to put something up on the table because we need more Mandalorian merchandise. So.
Well, first I thought maybe it was like a badge, like he's saying, "Hey, since you're the sheriff here, we're kind of going to recognize you because we need local help. So this is kind of a way of saying we're kind of deputizing you."
Right.
But then I'm like, well, does he have is the thing he gives out to kids and stuff? Does he have like a Ziploc bag filled with these little badges in his that he carries around in his X-wing?
Right.
Did Luke have them in his X-wing? I wonder.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe because it's definitely got. We need to go back and I guess study it more because it looked like it had some markings too. So maybe it was like it almost had like the red stripes, like Red Squadron. Although she does call him Blue at some point, right? Now, is that...
Yeah, that's true.
Does she mean, like, because he's a cop, or does she mean, is he, like, part of Blue Squadron, or is that some other... Is that, like, some kind of, needling, kind of teasing term for pilots because they fly in the sky or something like that?
Or is it like, or a needling term for, like a disrespectful term for cops as opposed to a respectful term for it? Yeah. I'm sure we'll go on the internet and people have, that thing was first seen in an episode 7 of Clone Wars. That was the thing Anakin gave to so-and-so. Now this is when the Imperial officer chronologically shows up. The other, sort of no name for her.
No, unidentified communications officer or comms officer.
And what was her name? Katie O'Brien, I think.
Katie O'Brien is the actor. Yeah.
Katie O'Brien. So what are we going to go with there?
Well, what is she? She's kind of relating information about...
about the tracking device being planted on the ship.
Right. So
Lieutenant Tracker.
KD Tracker. No, that's too much of a. So we'll take the K from Katie and put it's KATY. So we'll just make it ATIK. ATIK.
Okay. There you go.
Tracker. ATYK Tracker.
Captain Tracker. What's her rank?
Captain Tracker. Yeah. What does 4 dots mean? It was a low. I don't think it was a captain. It was probably lower. It was a little corporal tracker. Tracker John. There you go. We'll call her Tracker John. But he was
and I think Lady Imperial should wear skirts. What do you think about that?
No, I disagree.
You want a progressive, forward-thinking evil empire.
Uniform means one shape. So I think
Gene Roddenberry would be so disappointed in you right now.
Well, for multiple reasons, but no, yeah, don't. I think the Imperial uniform as is works well on all kinds of people. So,
yeah. And then we see the return of Grand Moff Gus Gideon.
Yes. He had been we forgot to mention we got the return of the in hologram form. We've got the doctor.
That's right. Talking about the medical transfusions.
Yeah, basically like laying it all out there in a voicemail. Explaining the entire plan in a voicemail for Grand Moff Gideon. But he's not a Grand Moff. Sorry, he's just Moff Gideon. So.
Yeah, that's true.
Then we get the return of we knew that he was probably coming back.
Yeah. And
when I do skip the previously on the Mandalorian because we've been watching them day of, and we're very, and I feel like it gives too much away about what's going to happen when it's just like this particular thing from last season plus that it's like giving you puzzle pieces.
Yeah.
But I did watch it this time because in between last week and this week, I've been trying to catch my wife up on The Mandalorian. And so we just watched the last 3 episodes of Season 1 and the first 2 of Season 2 in the past couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a lot of other Mandalorian information in my head. So I was like, let me watch this previously just to refresh my memory of what's what. And so once I figured that was going to be once they showed, oh, hey, like, here's Blue Horatio. He put him in carbonite. Like all this stuff really did. Like, we should go back and watch the previously on now. It'd be like, oh, that's why they showed this. That's why they showed this. Then they
when they first showed Blue Horatio Sans, I was like, did I start the right episode? I thought maybe I started Season 1, so. So I watched the show The Boys on Amazon. And it's a superhero show. And lo and behold, who plays one of the bad guys in it but Moff Gideon himself.
Really?
Yeah, and it's basically... I have a new theory that he's basically the same type of person. Like a big bad guy in charge of a huge thing, but in person he's very mild-mannered and very reasonable seeming and calm. And which seems to be his specialty in these recent roles ever since Breaking Bad. And I'm gonna start working on a theory that he is actually like Kang, where it's the same guy in multiple time eras. You know what I mean? Like he was Gus, and then he was the guy in The Boys, and then now I guess he was this originally because this is a long time
ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know him more from that other movie, where he was like a drug addict or something, right?
Do the Right Thing.
Do the Right Thing. He was the other guy.
He was he was just a local, a colorful local.
Right.
Bugging out. But
so we'll have to figure out how that goes.
Right. Well, yeah, he's playing a totally different, obviously, kind of character there. So
yeah, we'll have to figure out how we got from there to what turned him evil.
Right.
Is basically the question. So,
well, obviously, it's the events of Do the Right Thing. He was so frustrated with the racial unrest in Bed-Stuy that he then kind of
decided to he's going to build a new empire. All right, I like it.
That's
all the notes I got for this episode.
Let me see. I did have, that's pretty much it. I was interested to see who got credits and who didn't in the thing, because in the Doctor got a starring in order of appearance, the kind of pre-credits, like the first credits of starring obviously Pedro Pascal, and then also in order of appearance. And the Doctor was in that, so it was it was Cara Dune and Grief Karga, and then Horatio Sands, and then then the Doctor, and then Moff Gideon. And I was like, I had to go pause. Wait, who was the Doctor? Which one was that? I'm trying to think of all the characters that appeared in between when we were reintroduced to Blue Horatio and when we saw Moff Gideon again. Then I looked it up. I was like, oh, it's the Doctor. Because then in the other credits, all the other characters are in there, including people who I felt like had, as much of, if not a bigger role in it. He had just basically had one voicemail. But
who's the unsung hero? Who are the unsung actors? What parts do you think that should have been gotten higher?
Not that should have been, but I mean, that Katie O'Brien had as much dialogue as the Doctor, and the other, the Imperial officer, who in the booth.
Who they kill?
Yeah, who they kill. Like all those guys had as much to do with what was going on as, I didn't write down the actor's name, but Captain Teva. Captain Teva should totally have been pre-credit. He had a lot more to say than the Doctor.
Maybe because he's the recurring character, the Doctor, and he's going to be in it again at some point. So they kind of
the Doctor, you mean? I think you meant.
Yeah. Maybe the Doctor's like the actor of the Doctor was like, part of our contract is he has to be mentioned every episode.
But we haven't really seen him since the other season anyway. But we did get we were just talking about this. We were talking about it on a weekend show maybe. But we got the new kind of the physical, the body of C-3PO, the new body, Chris Bartlett, the new body. Christopher Bartlett is the
teacher droid.
Oh, is he not the? Oh, maybe not. Oh, I'm getting him confused with somebody else, maybe. Okay. Then who is the new body of C-3PO? Okay, so I was confused because he was the. I know the name, and he'd done basically he's the droid. He's the ferryman in Chapter 1, the bounty hunter droid in Chapter 3, a body double for Q90, the prisoner, RA7 protocol droid, body double in Chapter 7, and then the protocol droid teacher.
He's basically every protocol droid we see.
Yeah, but I thought he was the new C-3PO guy, but I guess not. That's interesting.
The voice or the body?
The body. I thought he was the new. Oh yeah, here we go. Right. So Samuel L. Jackson, an American Cinematheque tribute TV movie documentary. He plays C-3PO. Pitching Lucas, video short C-3PO. Good Morning America, C-3PO from 2015.
Oh, so maybe he does the voice too.
Late Show with David Letterman, C-3PO. Like he's Duracell, The Battle for Christmas Morning. So he is the
he's the body.
He's the basically the what's the thing I'm looking for? He's the body of.
He's the David Prowse.
Yeah, but the new body of C-3PO, the person who's taken over the when Golden Tony can't be in the suit. I think he's there, or doesn't want to be in the suit.
Yeah, I thought he retired.
Golden Tony.
Yeah, I thought he said, "I'm not doing anything anymore." But he wouldn't be the first performer to announce his retirement and then
right. I think he's still doing voice stuff. I don't know. We'll see. But
yeah.
But yeah, it was he was the body, and I wanted to point out that he's that kind of backup C-3PO. But then and she was voiced by somebody named Catherine Elise Drexler, who doesn't seem to have a lot of other Star Wars.
I assume that was some tech person, some behind the scenes person.
Could be. It seems like she's done some. Like a handful of like cinematographer, additional crew, second unit director, but also an actress on four or five things. So I'm not sure how she got into this, but she does a good job of sounding like a protocol droid.
Yeah.
So that was it. All right. So then our next episode will be Chapter 13, which will be Season 4.
Episode 5.
Season 2, Episode 5. We're not jumping ahead to Season 4 yet. 2-5.
Oh, wouldn't that be awesome, though, if we did a critique of Season 4?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it would be good for ratings, but
How long do you think this thing will go?
About an hour.
Oh, right. That's reasonable.
All right. Well, if you feel like spending another hour with us, maybe you'll join us here again next week. Don't forget our regular show, the Star Wars Minute, is available at StarWarsMinute.com. Our social media is Star Wars Minute on Twitter and the Star Wars Minute on Instagram. And if you feel like supporting this kind of a thing, go to StarWarsMinute.com/Patreon, and you can get bonus episodes that we do every week and all kinds of other stuff. And otherwise, we will meet you back here next week for a brand new episode of The Mindalorian.
Mandalorian.